Hi, so I'm just recording this because I've had a very interesting day so far. I've had a few experiences, visions and insights given to me, which I really am very keen to share with people. If some of you aren't aware already, I have ESP experiences, so I pick up on people's energy, I pick up on people's thoughts often as well. I often get premonitions about the future, and I've had visions of other planes of existence as well, and primordial states of consciousness, different dimensions and things like that. Okay, and this has been happening to me over the course of the last 10 years. Since, again, and just to point out, sorry, I am being targeted at the moment. So, over the last several months, I've been surveilled and watched, and this is largely because I have information about NHI and other things which people don't want me to share necessarily. What I've been thinking about a lot is past lives, familiarity, and time, and things like that. Yesterday, I was in my kitchen and I had this thought come out of nowhere because I wasn't thinking about anything related to this at the time, as far as I remember. And it was that I had traveled back in time to live this life. Okay, and over the last several months, with these guys, these people, sorry, not guys, people, because it's not just men, but although, a lot of them have been, it doesn't matter, it doesn't make a difference, but a lot of these people I feel I'm very familiar with, as in, and it's not just the people, it's the concepts, so it's the things that have revealed themselves over the course of the last several months and years, have triggered a lot of remembering in me. Okay, moments where things have been unveiled and it's been like, oh my gosh, a part of my consciousness knew this was the case all along. But to go back to the time aspect, so this morning I was thinking about the familiarity and the time aspect of that I just mentioned, and I was given a vision. Okay, not long before that, I was thinking about Jane Roberts and Seth, the Seth channelings, because the Seth channelings are one of the channelings that I really resonate with. Especially the story of how we were birthed into creation, physicality. That story has stayed with me ever since I heard it, because there's something about it that rings true to me. Okay, but I am a big fan of Seth, and I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about how I believe that time doesn't really exist, or at the very least is non-linear, and that seemed to trigger this vision that I had. So let me describe it to you. What I was shown was me sort of, obviously in the vision, but I didn't see myself, but I felt like I was my soul or my higher self. Okay, but coming from me were spokes. So spokes were coming from me, or coming from where I was. I couldn't see the whole thing, so I just saw that the spokes were coming from where I was positioned. And on the end of those spokes were bubbles, and in those bubbles were lives, and they were my lives. They were lives from the past, the future. They were lives. Okay, they were lives. My feeling that I had from that was that I could jump into any of those lives at any time and re-experience them, relive them, go back to certain moments and maybe try and influence them or observe them. That they were, that I could dip in and out of these things basically whenever I wanted, or not, and a bit like, the Tesseract in Interstellar, basically, where Matthew McConaughey is trying to get Murph's attention. He's able to go into different points in time. That's not exactly the same that I saw, but it is I was given afterwards a few visions that sort of tied it to that, okay, and I'm a big fan of that film, but it's a vision that I was given to sort of, you know, link it to something that people might find familiar, okay. This is to help, that I'm sharing this with you because I'm hoping, as it did with me, it helps you remember maybe something yourselves if you the other thing, and there are a few things that over the last hour or two I've been contemplating a lot with regards to this, okay. So I've drawn, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to post on I make, you know, I've got notebooks full of visions, information, all sorts of things, and drawings, and hundreds of voice memos and photos, you know, all related to experiences that I've had to do with NHI and all sorts of things. You know, the idea of this is to try and offset some of the gloom and doom of some of the things I'm going to be talking about, the serious challenges I believe we're going to face in the next few years. The other things that came to mind, to be honest with you, I want to talk about in more detail. I want to make more of them. It's not enough for me to do a video and post it. It all links to other visions that I've had in the past of home, what I call home, okay? Now, there are some people, I understand not everybody believes in ESP, and that's fine, okay? But there are people out there who know very well that my experiences are real, and they know that they know, okay? The feeling of the energy of that place, the feeling that it induces is idiosyncratic to that plane of reality. And it's a feeling of love, joy, just home. And it made me cry earlier because things came together after I saw that vision of the spokes, and other visions that I'd had sort of began to tie together issues of our higher selves, seeing that we are very likely also in other dimensions as well as this one at the same time, okay? Also the idea of our consciousness being funneled into this reality, because that's why often people have NDEs, not all the time, but often they describe a feeling of expanding. Anita Morjani would describe that feeling of expansiveness. A lady called Naya, who I absolutely love, who passed away a few years ago, she had a massive recall as well. And she described, much as I've sort of intuited, that everything is happening all at once, and that you can choose to go into different points in time. You can incarnate in different points in history, okay? You can incarnate wherever you want, by the looks of things, okay? So everything is happening all at once. But she said that, and bless her, and but she described when she had her NDE a feeling of expansiveness, that she felt that she was much bigger than she was in her consciousness felt when she was in her physical body. And as I'm explaining this to you, I can feel that feeling, I can feel that sense. So I've drawn diagrams of these things. I'm going to go into this in more detail, probably on my podcast, probably. To be honest with you, I want to put my experiences together in a book to offset, to give people some hope of transcending this plane of reality. There is hope, okay? I feel that we are in a prison of belief, okay? A lot of this is a prison of belief. You can, don't get me wrong, there are people and forces who are trying to control where our focus and attention goes. And as I tend to believe, where, our focus is what determines how we experience the world. And so to a large extent, so but with that said, we also have to contend with the influences of other people. We have to live together on this planet. We have to coexist. And as I have found myself, I can't control other people and what they do. And, I'm hoping that I can offset some of the gloom of that. And not only the gloom of that, but the gloom of the bigger picture here, which is basically, again, I believe we're facing significant challenges over the next few years. So I'm hoping this can give people some hope of transcendence, you know, as well as doing all the other things that I want to do. You know, I want to start talking about some of those serious issues. What I would like to do is also make a compendium of experiences that I've had, and insights that I've been given, and visions and things like that, to try and help people maybe remember the way other people have tried to help me remember as well, and also helped me by, you know, indirectly. Okay, so so yeah, the idea is to try and pass it on. And that's the message that I'm getting from you know, other people, other beings, is that I have to try and like pass this on to people where I can, that, you know, that because again, I think they understand that a lot of this is to do with our state of mind, our consciousness. And I've said that before, that getting out of this mess is gonna mean like looking at our consciousness. Technology is not going to give us technology is not the answer. Okay, technology is not gonna solve the, like, it's about, again, it's about our state of being. That's the way through this. We don't need, don't get me wrong, technology does have lots of benefits, but we are naturally interconnected by, you know, we are interconnected by default. It's our natural state. It's who we are by default. Okay. This internet, these synthetic connections, these artificial connections, they are replications, they're copies, they're simulations of the real thing. And part of me wonders, I did think this before, part of me wonders if we're replicating this to try and almost like, because part of us wants to replicate that connection of home. Okay. Part of us wants to remember, is trying to wake itself up in some ways, or is subconsciously emulating that trying to, that sense of connection. Okay, so trying to sort of bring it to the planet, or like trying to, it's coming across in a crude way, what I'm saying. And I think the artificial connection is crude, but I think there's something about this, the internet and all of this stuff, this need to like connect everything together, that means, that reminds, that makes me feel like there's part of us that deep down, even though we can't see it, we can't consciously see it, like that basically there's part of us that is, you know, that does have that insight deep. Like I said about myself, there are things that have come to the surface for me over the last few months that I've thought, oh gosh, that was always there. Like I always knew this deep down, and how did I forget? And I think there's part of us that still remembers deep down that interconnectedness, and again is trying to sort of almost like replicate that through these artificial connections. There is part of me that thinks that, okay, but it's not coming out the way it should on this planet because of our state of consciousness. All right, so it's not really like, it's not going to be the way it was, the way it is on other planes of reality, or the way it really is fundamentally, because our state of consciousness and other dynamics and complex nuances and things like that just get in the way, you know. So I hope this has been useful to you. If you have any questions, please let me know, and thank you and have a great day.